Hello, welcome to the JAV Show. This is Jorge,
And this is Viv.
and this week we got another filler episode. Cool one. Back to another table topic one.
You guys know when an anime show is really good, they have to have some fillers.
Yeah,
This is how you guys know we've made it.
we always have to do fillers. It's important. It's fundamental. If we have too much,
Quality content
yeah, then it
that's up
just
to date, then you guys will just, your threshold will be too high for us. Your
Yeah.
expectations will be too high.
exactly. It's not that we're lowering expectation. We're just changing it. We're altering it so you guys have a new
We're
experience.
maintaining it so you guys can get excited every single time.
Exactly. So now that we're done with our excuses, this
This
week.
is sustainability at its finest.
All right, this week we're gonna talk about another one of these table topics. So I think I explained it before in a previous podcast, but these filler ones are gonna be about like an hour to an hour and a half, and we're just gonna talk about some questions we found online that we thought are very thought provoking, very analytical, that we can really put our opinions on. The first one, and Viv loves these mental ones, these psychology ones. So we have a lot of
Yes.
those.
My favorite topics to talk about.
The first one is, what's your take on speak up for those who don't have a voice? Quote. Okay, wait, let me re-question that. What's your take on quote, speak up for those who don't have a voice, unquote?
My initial thought is that, okay, when we were looking up these questions before, we gave our brief opinions on every single question that we picked on to put on this list of questions that we have to pick from. And Jorge gave a very interesting, quick opinion that kind of
Yeah.
negates my initial opinion, but I'll say it anyways. So, my initial take on what speak up for those who don't have a voice is that yes, you should.
Done.
That's it, guys. Thanks for coming to the podcast. Thanks for listening and tuning in. The reason why I say yes is that not everyone has the confidence and the ability to protect themselves or to speak on their behalf. And sometimes some people need assistance or would prefer to have someone assist them in defending them or saying something on their behalf. And I think in those circumstances, that's when it's a good thing to speak up for those who don't have a voice. So the first scenario that I'm thinking of is if somebody's getting bullied. If somebody's getting bullied really hard and you're able to stop it or interfere, why wouldn't you speak up for that person? Or say somebody is spelling malinformation about your friend and telling you about it, saying like, oh, your friend's doing this and that or whatever, and you know the truth, or you're able to say something to, I guess, make the situation a little less hostile and a little less savage, for lack of a better term, and you're able to defend your friend or at least say something while she's not there or he's not there, then wouldn't you say something?
Personally, yeah, but
You're
like,
personally, nah, fuck you, bitch.
well, in that scenario, that's kind of weird, right? Like, it's not that they don't have a voice; it's that's like they don't even have opportunity, right? Like, if someone's shit talking your friend while your friend's not there, that's just like, it's not. I feel like at that moment, it doesn't. To me, it doesn't feel like they don't have a voice. It's just like they're just not there. You know what I mean? Like, when I think of this question, I think of maybe people who are more shy, maybe people who are in the fringes of society. So maybe they're like not able or not capable or not willing or not confident. Like, I think to a certain extent, this is also good, like what Viv is saying, like we should do. But I think my counter to that when we were first discussing was that I don't believe it's a sustainable thing to do. So like, I don't think you should be speaking up for other people. I think if other people have opinions, if you speak up for them, it's almost like mansplaining. Like, you're like trying to say it for them, but maybe there's nuances. So maybe the way they want to say is different from how you want to say it. But it's not sustainable because they should be able to speak for themselves. And every time someone speaks for them, or they see that they're vulnerable and they don't want to speak and they do it for them, I feel like it shutters their confidence. So it's like they're more reliant and dependent on someone else now to get their opinions through. And it won't, like, you can't just keep doing that forever. So what I'm saying is, like, it's not sustainable.
Mm.
They don't build confidence at all, and then they don't have participation either. I think the goal or the role of us, of humans, should not be to speak up for others. I think it should be to guide and lead in a way that they are comfortable to speak. But at the end of the day, I also believe that we all need, like, a little bit of courage.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have courage and you're willing to speak and you're willing to participate, then you should be allowed to be involved. The thing is, like, I always say this, especially when it comes, like, election time and stuff, or like politics and stuff. I sometimes, or most of the time, don't vote. But at the same time, if I don't, I also agree that I shouldn't be able to bitch, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, yeah, my voice is not heard at that moment, and I chose not to, and therefore I have not participated. Therefore, I should not be allowed to complain about the issues. Right? I should have a lower opinion on that because I'm not participating. Right? And it's important to have the people actually participate and actually use their own voice with whatever nuances they have to explain in the way that they want to explain. And that's why I actually kind of disagree with speaking up for others. I think we should maybe create an environment where they are more comfortable to speak up. But if they're not courageous enough to speak up, then unfortunately, I'm a bit harsh on it. I just think that then they shouldn't, like, then I guess they shouldn't participate if they're not going to be courageous enough to voice their opinions, right? Just because, like, we can't do this all the time. We can't just keep speaking up for others when they need to really step in, right? It's almost like you're leading a good cause. So say, like, you're helping a certain minority, but no one in the minority is willing to step up and become the leader. Well, you can't lead that minority forever, especially if you're not part of them that
Mm-hmm.
minority, right? So for example, like, if a group of people is being bullied and you want to speak up for them, to be like, hey, these people aren't bad, they're great, there's all these things to it, but no one in that minority is willing to speak up, then it's like, hey, like, we can't do this
This
for
isn't
you.
ever gonna change.
Yeah, like it's not a sustainable way to change things for the good, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, sometimes I feel like these things that people think are always good, I think have short-term positives, but they neglect the long-term effects.
I can definitely see what you're saying. It's like if you protect someone from being bullied once, if you stand up for them when they're getting their lunch money taken away, and this person consistently, I wouldn't say put themselves in the position to get bullied, but they do nothing to move themselves forward or to stand up for themselves in the event that this scenario happens again, then you can only be there for them so many times because you can't essentially save them every single time they get bullied if they're not going to stand up to the bully or have no intentions on standing up to the bully at any point. Then it's kind of like almost on them to make sure that it stops.
Yeah, and sometimes it could do more harm than good. If you do interfere, like, especially some very I want to say, like, sensitive stuff, like, we need the right people to speak up. The people who, like, know, who are knowledgeable, and like sometimes the message comes out wrong or has an even further negative impact if the wrong person or group speaks up for the other group, right?
Like if someone was like, I didn't ask for your help.
Yeah, that could be it too. Like, that's the whole mansplaining thing.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, the optics of it sometimes matter too, right? Like, I think, yeah, helping others should be good, but I'm always on the thought that, like, I want the world, or the people in the world, to become independent. And I feel like sometimes helping too much is not good. Like, it enforces, encourages dependency. Whereas I feel like we should be promoting independence, because that kind of becomes interdependence, right? So it's like you should promote them to be confident enough in themselves, and they'll work hard, and then they can help others at that point, right? But yeah, I don't know. That's always my mindset. I'm always with the, he had to go through shit to learn. Sometimes you don't, right? Like I don't want to have to go through shit to learn how to skydive, right? Like that's not shit I want to do.
I think that if you go through shit during skydiving, I don't know if you're gonna be able to skydive a second time.
That's what I'm saying, right? So some stuff, there's a capacity, right? There's a limit that you don't want people to go through. But that's kind of my take too. I think I do have a more, like, brutish, or I don't know how to say it. Like, I have faith in people. I have faith in people of like being strong.
Mm.
So that's why I always think that I don't like we shouldn't have to be strong for other people. But I do see sometimes speaking up is good if it creates inspiration.
Yeah, I think it can create inspiration, and in some cases, it can lead the way for the people to be able to correct their situations themselves a lot easier in a way that they couldn't do it without that help. So, like, if someone's actually getting like fucking pummeled when they're getting bullied, and you happen to be able to stop that, then maybe that'll give them a few seconds to be able to stand back up on their feet to be able to stand up against the bully. Or there's this girl who, let me just look up her name really quickly. I know she was the forefront of standing up against people who...
I mean, while you search that, I also think like we can even go into the literal definition, like, quote, speak up for those who don't have a voice, unquote. I actually think, like, while I was thinking about the exact words, people who don't have a voice, so like people who are mute, I guess. I actually think sometimes if you help people or you speak up for them out of turn, especially some people who may be like disabled or anything, it's actually really diminutive and very like pitiful, if that makes sense. Like they don't want that pity, you know what I mean? Like I'm sure most disabled people want to be able to like live as normal of a life they can. So sometimes if you interfere and you act for them or you speak for them, then it's like they don't want that, right? Like no, like I don't need you to do this for me. I know like what I say may be harder to come through because I'm disabled or whatever it may be, but I want to do it on my own kind of thing like that, right? And it's probably more inspirational and more like better for everyone if they do it on their own. Right. So that's my kind of thought for it. So like when people ask what's your take on that, I'm like, fuck, like I think it's like one of those sayings that people think it's always good, but like I feel like when you put more thought into it, you're like, oh shit, it's like this. So it's so nuanced. Like it can be good and it maybe should be good. Like it's almost like a Disney movie term, if that makes sense. It's like a typical classic, yeah, help the little guy kind of thing like that. But then when you think about it on the long term, you're like, oh wait, hold up. Like, is this actually sustainable? Is this actually the right thing to do or not? Right.
I can definitely see that. I think that there's some people in my life that I think in the beginning I helped them through a lot of things, and yes, be there for your friends, be there for your family, but I think one person in particular, I think I've helped them a little bit too often in the sense that now they kind of come to me to baby them in a way, and I've in the last few years shown them more tough love than not, because I think that they need to take a bit more of a proactive approach in helping themselves in these areas in life. And it's been at the first few years it was really tough and they were really confused as to why I wasn't helping them in the same way, but I think that now it's starting to show that they've learned that they can probably help themselves more, or else it's unsustainable to rely on me.
Yeah, like I'm not sure about other people, but I always feel like when I'm trying to do things on my own and I can't figure it out, I feel so useless. And I feel grateful when people help me, but it doesn't make me feel any less useless when people actually help me. It's only when I figure it out myself and I actually do it and succeed in it, then I'm like, oh my, like this is one aspect of my life that I've like conquered. And it feels like it's nice. It feels nice to like, I wouldn't say master, but accomplish something where I understand the full scope of it now, right? But I don't know, for me, it just, I hate that useless feeling, like not knowing how to do something. Like
same. I absolutely hate feeling useless and weak.
Yeah, but I think my thought process also changed a lot because like back then I would always try to do stuff on my own, but nowadays, sometimes I'm like, for example, if something major happened to my car, I'm like, fuck, I don't want to spend like weeks on weeks trying to fix my own car and shit, and then like sometimes I need it right now, and then it's not my profession either, right? It's like there's people who can do it within a day for me, and I have to pay them a fair sum of money, which is fine, and then that's probably like less time that I input. It's almost like I value time a bit more now, right? So like those things I don't mind. I at least know like how to get it done. Like okay, these are the people I need to seek to get it done. That's fine. But some stuff like just when people straight up help me, I feel like fuck, I want to like learn how to do it.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think that in most things in life, if I can learn how to do it myself, then I'd rather do it myself.
I mean,
in some ways. So like the first thing I'm referring to would be like before I really enjoyed cutting hair and doing my own hair, because I thought like, oh, if I can learn how to cut and do my own hair, then
Playing with Barbie dolls or what?
not only, yeah, I actually would.
Oh shit.
Not only what, and I would like practice cutting their hair too, but like not only would I save money from going to someone else to having someone else do it for me, but I would also have fun doing that to myself.
Yeah,
like the process of doing it is a lot of fun. It's like a little project during the day, but then eventually I realized that like the time spent on it's just not really worth it so much.
Yeah,
and I'd rather, if I need to trim my hair or like do a little touch up here, then I'd rather do that, and I'm better off allocating my time and money to having someone else do it for me.
Yeah, I've always dreamed of going bald. I don't think I look good bald, but I mean that's the ultimate like carefree, maintenance-free lifestyle.
I mean, maybe you're just not used to it.
Do you think I look good bald?
I don't think
you can be honest. Like I don't think I look good.
I don't think it's that big of a difference because your hair is usually just really short, anyways, right?
Yeah, but I have people to impress.
Oh, really? Because you're careful. The person that I was mentioning earlier was this girl named Amanda. Mind my pronunciation. I know I should know how to say this properly, but her last name is Vietnamese. It's Nguyen.
Yeah, good enough.
Okay, Amanda Nguyen. She is a civil rights activist and the founder of this movement called Rise, and she was the person who who pushed this movement to propose the draft for a Sexual Survivors Rights Act, and it passed unanimously in Congress, and she won a Nobel Peace. She was a Nobel Peace Prize.
Wait, hold up. Sexual survivors don't have rights before?
It's more so, it's very complicated if you want to not necessarily press charges, but if you want to press charges, have it be documented legally or do a lot more on something that's happened to you if you got sexually assaulted and you waited a certain bit.
Yeah.
So previously, if you waited over 2 years, then everything you say is pretty much moot. It's kind of hard to prove that you got raped or anything that has happened to you has happened because they can no longer really take the DNA test from you.
Yeah.
And obviously it's kind of like he said, she said, right?
Wait, they can't take the DNA test?
They can take it if you report it and you want to go through that process right away. But something that this chick has brought up to light and made everyone more educated on is that she said that most people who go through this, they don't have the feel to want to report it right away, or they don't have the confidence or the mindset to be like, this, I'm gonna fucking get you in trouble for doing this shit.
Yeah.
Normally they go through the emotional trauma and everything first, and a lot of people don't actually speak about it until like a few years later. And she found out that because that's the common case, a lot of people don't actually get reprimanded for doing those things to other people, and the people that went through it don't actually get the help or get access to the resources or whatever that they seek after when they're confident enough or ready to talk about it. And because it's after a certain amount of time, nothing usually happens, and then it's usually just left for dead. And so she started this movement called the Sexual Assault Survivors Rights Act, and it passed unanimously in Congress, and she became one of the first Asian people to be a Nobel Peace Prize nominee. She didn't end up winning, but she also got Woman of the Year and a whole bunch of other prizes. And this movement was actually pretty well documented, and it's pretty historical, I would say.
I've heard some dudes got the Woman of the Year award. Then Bruce Jenner or
I heard a lot of people were like, "What the fuck? You've been a woman for less than like however many years."
She's done so much more than all other women. God damn.
Yeah. But the reason why I'm mentioning Amanda Nguyen is that, like, in her case, she was the person who spoke up for people who didn't have the ability to speak up for themselves, because I wouldn't say she was necessarily more able to, but she had the confidence, and she created an environment where she was more able to. And because she had this movement passed and this whole entire draft accepted in Congress, then I feel like that allows people who previously didn't have a voice to be able to speak up more and be able to showcase whatever they went through or all that stuff.
I think this might be like too nuanced. I feel like what she did was she created the environment.
Mm-hmm.
She not necessarily she spoke up for them, but maybe she did. But I was just thinking like, I think she did create the environment for them to be able to do it, but they didn't like. She didn't have to tell their story for them. But I guess for that move, that bill to pass, she probably had to convince people in a certain way, right? So
Mhm.
yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, like that's obviously all positives there, but no, I'm just thinking like, is it? Yeah, no, actually, yeah, no, it's good she did that. Like, I think that's what we should be doing is creating the environment, but not necessarily like saying it for them.
Mhm.
That like exactly right, because it's all different for everyone.
Like if after this movement passed, if afterwards she had to keep repeating all the stories and keep having to convince people to come out and tell their stories and
Yeah,
do this and do that,
that's
then
true.
that would be a lot more far overreaching than what she should need to do.
Yeah, she should like have it in place and let people have have resources in place for whoever needs it, right? Kind of thing. But not like go out there and just try to like force people like, tell me if you got raped or not.
Are you sure? Are you sure?
I have a gun to your head. Tell me.
Your stepdad's looking a little close to you lately.
Dude, I should just you know what? Here's what I'm gonna do. Just because you talked about that, I'm gonna make a rape whistle for anyone who wants one. It's a pretty good rape whistle.
If anyone comes up to you and is like, hey, can I have a rape whistle?
I mean, it's a pretty cool whistle in general, so I wouldn't even judge them for it. Like, even if you're a dude and you want a rape whistle, I guess.
Yeah,
all for it.
Just say if you guys want a loud ass whistle, you know, it doesn't have to be a rape whistle. It could be.
It's a rape whistle.
Yeah, shut the fuck.
I'm printing it.
If
as
you're
a rape
walking
whistle.
alone at night often, like you get off work late, or you like work in a sketchy area, or I don't know, you have to do some sketchy ass shit in some sketchy ass area sometimes.
If your partner abuses you,
well, yeah,
they're about to abuse you, and you just throw that whistle, they'll be so confused, and you just walk away.
You bring it out and blow at it, they'd be like, "Where the fuck did you pull that out from?"
Yeah, exactly.
And just be like, "You ever watch Chris Angel, bitch?"
Yeah, shit like that. Yeah, just for this, guys, whoever wants a rape whistle, anyone, just ask me. You have to personally ask me. You either DM me or there's no way of DMing me except for on YouTube, but you either message me or you know me and you can like send me a text or you just tell me in person. I will 3D print you a very good rape whistle. Ask Viv, she has one.
Yes, guys, I am officially protected against all rapists.
Yeah, it's pretty. I mean, I wouldn't say you're 100% protected, but you're kind of protected. I mean, it's nice to have one if you were in a situation you need one.
I think I'm decently protected now. I mean, like, I have these guns that I carry around.
Whoa, allegedly. She has allegedly guns.
I'm talking about my arms.
oh. Again, allegedly.
Oh, man.
Very real. Come on, guys.
I have a rape whistle. I have other things.
You have a brain? Do you ever see
I have a brain,
like most scary movies or
a
something?
voice.
As soon as someone comes, they like throw their phone away and run away as far as they can.
Some confidence to tell someone to fuck off. Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. That's good.
Yeah. I have a self-protective things with me
We
at
should
all
all
times.
take some self-defense classes.
I took some.
Oh.
Yeah.
I was
also have that.
I was listening to a podcast about that, and they're saying like it's nice that people take it, but sometimes it gives them a false confidence.
Yes,
which isn't good either. Like if someone's about to attack you,
interact.
Like if someone's about to attack you, trust me, guys. The best thing to do,
suddenly I'm
coming from a non-expert, the best thing to do is just run away. Like there's no like heroic thing to do.
Star.
There's no ego. If someone's trying to start a fight with you, honestly, if you don't want to fight, just run away. Just run away.
No one's gonna be like, oh, look at that fucking loser.
Yeah. I was about to rape her, but she ran away. What a dumbass.
Yeah. What a loser. Why not just face it?
Yeah. No. Honestly, I think there's no like ego in that type of shit. Like,
yeah.
Like, I've actually told my girlfriend too. I was like, man, if anyone try to start with fight me, I'm fucking leaving. Like, I'm not gonna stay around just to try to like potentially die.
Yeah, me too. I don't think it's worth it. Fighting's not a good thing, guys.
Yeah. Like,
or just violence.
Yeah, that's what I think too. I mean, the problem is I think so a fight is usually two people. Sometimes you get randomly attacked. You can't really do anything about it, right?
Yeah.
You're just walking down the street, someone just like hits you in the leg or something like that. There's nothing you can
Someone just
foresee to like prevent
Charlie
that, right?
horses you.
But fights are usually a two-way thing, right? Like if someone will try to initiate and someone will have to at least accept it. Because if the person that doesn't accept it actually starts running away, the guy initiating won't be like, "Hey, get back here so I can fight you" or
They
something like that.
might.
Right? I mean, if they do, then they'll have to try to catch you. So if you just keep running, like if you run to like 5 other people and then be like, "This guy's trying to attack me," then that person's probably gonna stop, right?
Hopefully.
Yeah. So I think, in my opinion, I'm always like, "Fuck that, man!"
Yeah.
Like I don't want to.
I agree.
I was also telling Joyce is like, because I've done some martial arts before, but like the hardest part for me when I was doing martial arts was sparring. Sparring was always the hardest. Like I can't bring myself to like physically hurt someone else.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just feels because like I know how much it may hurt, so I was like, I don't want to do that to like someone else. But I could just be a wuss because I understand it's like it's self defense, it's for protection and all that stuff. Yeah. But man, like
even when we were playing like this tortilla challenge with like
I would slap the fuck out
friends,
of someone.
I can't even do that. I feel bad.
Okay, no, that one's fine because like I don't think a tortilla should hurt that much. Like unless I froze a
But
tortilla,
it can still hurt.
I mean, it's like getting Charlie horse. It's like, whatever, right?
It's true.
But if I have to like, because I was doing judo, if I had to like throw someone to the ground and like chokehold them and like try to strangle them, because like when they try to do sparring, you want to use like as much effort as you can, because it might be like a real scenario, because that person's gonna resist. Right?
Yeah.
So you want to practice using more effort, right? But it just feels so off for me. Like
I know what you mean. It's kind of hard.
I'm a wuss, guys. You guys heard it here. You guys heard it first.
Yeah, if anyone's ever trying to fight you, just de-escalate and walk away. It's literally.
I don't think I've ever gone into a fight. I'm trying to think.
I've had someone try and fight me before.
I think
junior high.
The only experience I've had is that like some people would be like rough or like mean during like gym class or something like that.
Yeah.
But then for the most part, I was very like cool with everyone. So then other people would just like tell them to fuck off and stuff. It's not like I didn't want to say, because I'd probably say it too, but I also don't want to like escalate the situation because they're trying to like get me, right? So then someone else would say it, and I was like, okay, cool, like whatever, right? But for the most part, I think like especially as a teen, like this surprisingly works so well. If you go up to someone and be like, "Can you stop doing that? You're being a dick." They'll actually they just don't know what to do. They're just like, they just freeze.
You called me a dick?
Yeah, like they just instantly freeze. They're just like they're not sure what to. I feel like because they're not emotionally mature enough to understand, so then they just like freeze and like they can't do anything like that, right?
I agree. And at our age, I think if someone wanted to fight you, then you can't really say that. You can't be like, "Can you stop? You're being a dick," because I think that mentally they're not mature enough to realize that you don't fucking fight people. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they don't understand that. I think there was this one time that someone was being rough, and it was so weird. So like I was in gym class, and then like I had some friends who were like heat bags and stuff, but I'm not like super close to them. But like I'm nice to them, they're nice to me, just whatever, right? And then they started going at start like glaring at them and shit. I was like, dude, like calm down, like it's fine.
There's literally no reason to fight, guys.
Yeah, like it's chilled. Like it's gym class. We're all teenage guys with a bunch of testosterone. It's just whatever, right? Anyways, yeah, so that was a pretty interesting question. I wonder what you guys think about speak up for those who don't have a voice. The next one we have is it this one, this bottom one, or is it this second one?
Second one.
This one. Why do some people complain more than others despite facing less pain? Oh yeah, I guess I've always said something along the lines like the worst thing that's ever happened to you is the worst thing that's ever happened to you. Like that's your benchmark for the worst thing that's ever
definitely something that after you've told me that's something I've definitely like repeated to myself a lot of times. Yeah.
So it's like if someone's never stubbed their toe in their life, and then they stub their toe, that's like one of the worst things that's ever happened to them. So it may not sound like a very painful thing, but to them it's like the most painful thing, because now their benchmark of maximum pain is at that level, right? So I think that's why some people complain more. It's like pain is such a relative and like fucked up thing, I think. So I think the age-old debate is like, do girls withstand more pain than guys because like they go through like menstrual cycles and stuff like that. But I feel like it's, I don't know, like yes and no. Like I've seen some brutal shit that guys also go through too, right? So it's kind of like, I don't know, like I actually don't know. And pain is so relative. Like sometimes in my brain, like I think that what's happening to me is the most painful thing in the world at the moment. But then other people talk about it like it's nothing. But then the same reverse. Some people think this whatever that's happening to them is super painful, but to me, I'm like, oh, that feels like whatever, right? So one example for me is in yoga. Yoga for me is actually surprisingly painful because I have flat foot or flat feet.
Oh.
So when you're on your feet for a long time and you're bare feet for a long time and you're flat feet and you're like using a lot of like leg muscle and strength, your feet aches like crazy. So like so while we're doing these poses, my legs aren't actually giving out. It's just my feet that hurts like a bitch, right? And why I'm bringing up this example is because I think to the other students and colleagues in yoga, they probably are experiencing maybe the pain in the thigh or whatever if they're doing lunges or Iron Goddess pose or whatever. But I'm purely feeling it in my feet. Like none of that matters to me except for my feet.
Ouch.
Yeah. So for me, it's that like that's super painful, but for a different reason, right?
I'm curious if there's any like insole things that you can wear. I'm thinking something that's probably made of silicone that you could attach to your toes and wrap around your ankle so that it's more like an insole for your feet. But you're still technically kind of barefoot, but it allows you to do barefoot activities like hot yoga with more ease because you have something supporting the arches of your feet.
I think I just have to suck it up. I think like my flat-footedness is just bad genetics, and you can't just overcome that in my opinion. I think like so for example, if I'm wearing shoes, I'm always good because I have like these special insoles, like special built for me. Like I have like they mold my feet and they do all these special things for it. And that's nice. That's technology at its finest. But I think you could technically and theoretically train your feet to start developing arches.
You can?
Yeah. It's probably difficult, very painful. But yeah, like in general, you could train your feet to be stronger. Like if you wear those like those toe shoes.
Vibrams.
Yeah, where it's like very
disgusting,
like very thin soles between your bare foot and the ground. You actually train your feet to be stronger.
And the ones that like separate your toes.
Yeah, like where you splay your toes out. Yeah. Those actually train your feet to be stronger, which is, well, like I can't say it's better. Like let's say that to build the perfect primal human, it's better. But like in this day and age in society, it may or may not be better. Like
I would say it's still actually better because a lot of people experience bunions and a lack of balance. Like a lot of people nowadays don't have, I feel, the standard balance that you should have because you wear such narrow, tighted shoes that squish your toes together, and without your toes being able to like spray out or have that space to really, I guess, grab onto the ground,
but
then your balance would severely be impacted.
It's relative.
And I guess it's for people who are more active and do sports and things like that that would find that kind of benefit with spreading their toes more. Because if you live a more sedentary life and you just go to the office, you go home, you make dinner, sit on the couch, do nothing, then I guess it wouldn't really benefit you.
Well, like it's almost like the whole like wisdom teeth, appendix type of thing. Like it's good back in the day, but like doesn't matter now kind of thing. Like doesn't matter that much now. Like I guess it's nice for the feet thing. Yeah, maybe it's better balance, but I think in general most people are wearing shoes anyways. So if you have that like special insole, like I don't think I have detrimental balance compared to other people. I think I have a pretty good balance too, and I don't really have that flat foot. Like I see some benefits in it, but I don't know if the benefits outweigh or is even worth it in this current time of our lives. Right, like back then, if you had to do more physical activity in order to survive, yeah. But nowadays, it's like you could live a very fulfilling life without any of those issues.
That's true.
Unfortunately, you are passing on bad genes, though. That is the shit part. But it's okay. With CRISPR, one day you just cut those out.
Yeah, exactly.
Just CRISPR the shit those out.
So you're fine.
Yeah, we'll all have LeBron James kids. They're like fucking 8 foot tall and blue and can survive in different environmental conditions.
Yeah. Imagine if you can create a cold-blooded human. Everyone's fucked.
I just want to create a blue human that's a lot taller and stronger and live in Pandora.
I actually don't like Avatar that much, guys. Only because it's called Avatar. And I was severely disappointed when I found out that these people do not wind bend.
Well, if you think about it, who's more pissed? Like, what's the actual like definition of Avatar? Because wouldn't the original definition be? So Avatar is the manifestation of deity or released soul in bodily form on Earth. an incarnate divine teacher. So these yogi teachers are probably pissed off at you guys calling Avatar a monk with an arrow on his forehead. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, you could say he's an incarnate divine teacher.
yeah,
He
but
did pop up from like a giant ass piece of ice. And he's
he
changing
didn't
the
born
world.
from ice. He got frozen.
Yeah,
Ice. But I mean, could you imagine the original user of the word Avatar like came back and listened to us talking about this bald kid with a fucking arrow on his forehead? They're like, you guys don't understand what Avatar actually means. Yeah. But yeah, I guess same thing. I don't know. I think both are cool. You just have to say Avatar blue people and they'll understand what you're saying.
I hate it.
Or Avatar Pandora.
I was so disappointed. But anyways, when you said that line about how the worst pain you've ever felt is the worst pain you've ever felt,
yeah,
I think that's a very strong point to tie into this. Why do some people complain more than others despite facing less pain? I think that is possibly the perfect answer to that. Because if I've repeated that to myself a lot of times, because if somebody has only experienced a paper cut, then if you tell them that like, oh, my mom just died, they might not, of course your regular human being would be able to emphasize that, should be able to emphasize that a paper cut is nowhere near the same amount of pain as your mom just passing away. But if it's scenarios that seem a little bit similar, then I think that it's hard for somebody else to empathize with the level of pain that you feel, especially if they're not in your shoes. And I think it's almost a good thing that some people can complain despite feeling less pain, because why would you want them to feel more pain and be able to empathize with you in that way? Like, it's nice to feel like someone understands you when you're going through shit, but at the same time, it's also like misery loves company, but why would you want to have company in that sense? Because that means somebody else also has gone through that. Like, if I was talking to a friend about shit that I've gone through and they're like, to be honest, Viv, my life's pretty fucking good. I haven't gone through shit. I can't fathom what you're feeling at all. Then I'd be like, you know what? Good for you. Fucking good for you.
Is that how you feel when you talk to me?
Yeah, actually. I'm like, that's great.
No, but I don't know, like pain's such a weird thing. So first, on the physical level, like I feel like don't people have different pain receptors? Like the sensitivity of
tolerance.
Your pain receptors are different from different people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like if I pinch you, you may not feel anything, but if I pinch someone else, it may be the worst thing in the world, just due to the sensitivity of their pain receptor, right?
That's true.
So on a physical sense, that is definitely the case. When you talk about like why like misery and company and stuff, the only thing I can think of is like there's some like unspoken human brotherhood that happens when you go through the same pain as someone else.
Oh yeah,
like
sure,
it's like mothers, right? I think mothers all relate to each other because they've gone through that like child birthing pain, but also the pain of like, you know, like raising a kid and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
And that stuff, like me and you, we can never relate to them because we've never been through that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there is some like brotherhood that happens to it, right? Like one thing I can think of is like the pain of going through engineering, for example. It's like it's actually not that painful in my opinion, but like I see why people complain, and then when you go through it, it's almost like you've joined this brotherhood. Like, yeah, you've done it, like I've done it, like the guy older than you, right?
I can definitely see that.
Yeah. So,
like if you happen to find someone that has gone through the same shit as you, it's like,
yeah,
man, you fucking know.
Yeah.
Like you know how it feels. I don't even need to explain it to you.
And I think it becomes so human at that point because you're not comparing more or less pain anymore. You're just comparing like
human experiences.
Yeah, you're just like you just call it pain. Like you don't say it's like pain level this, pain level that. You just said you went through that, I went through this. This like it connects us, right? I think in general, and maybe I'm racist, probably I'm racist, but in general, most immigrants have that same brotherhood feeling, right? Like we've gone through coming. At least not me, but like my parents went through being a refugee and coming here and like working from nothing to something, right? So then they're more compassionate when they see other people that are in the same situation.
Right? I agree.
And like that pain is almost like a prerequisite of getting into this brotherhood of like almost unlimited compassion. Because I feel like sometimes down maybe because of the people I hang out with, but sometimes the most compassionate people I know are the people that came from nothing and the people that like, are still or maybe still have very little. They're yet still so compassionate because they went through all that struggle.
Yes. I definitely think that if somebody hasn't gone through a lot of struggle in life, then their character isn't as strong as it could be in a way. Like struggle in any shape, or form. It doesn't have to be pain, doesn't have to be crazy things. Just essentially overcoming obstacles is huge in character development. And if somebody has had like a silver spoon fed to them and their life is like amazing, then like honestly good for you. But you're probably gonna break at the first sign of struggle.
Yeah, I think statistically probably like more than likely they will, but I guess I myself am also trying to learn how to not judge people by that way, because sometimes I do, like sometimes I do see people like being fed with a silver spoon and stuff like that, but I feel like just because of your history doesn't result in the present or the future, right? Like you can still impress or go through shit, right?
Of course.
But yeah, I think more than not, I agree with the pain kind of hardens you, but I don't know, like I think my thoughts has changed a little bit. Like back then I was like no pain no gain type of mentality, right? But then now I'm more like no necessary pain no gain, because unnecessary pain is not really required.
Yes.
Like I think
it's like saying like those people that try and find a silver lining or lesson to the shit they've gone through, but then sometimes there's no fucking lesson. Sometimes it just fucking sucks.
Yeah, and sometimes the lesson's not worth it too. Like like I used to always, and I still kind of think this. I think that people who married their high school sweetheart or their first person that they ever dated, I'm always very jaded about that. I'm like, oh, are you sure? Like, are you sure you don't want to try something out? Like I've done some shit that I don't think you guys have done before. That's pretty fun, right? But it goes back to the it's no necessary pain no gain. Not so it may be unnecessary for them. Like maybe they can truly be able to love in a way that I love my partners without going through that pain.
Yes.
Right.
I can see
that. But back then I actually didn't think that. Back then I was like, no, dude, like you can't do it. You have to like try it out a little bit out there and stuff. But then I think I've been persuaded otherwise nowadays, where I'm like, okay, you know what? I don't know who they are. Like I may know-ish who they are, but I don't know how they work in their relationship and stuff. So leave them be. Like they're happy. That's how it is, right? But that's what I like. I'm always so jaded when or not jaded, but like I'm always like so weary when people say like, yeah, I married the first person I dated. I'm like, don't know about that. There's other dicks out there. There's other pussies out there.
But imagine if you met somebody and it was the first person you dated and you felt like they were like the one, and there was enough in the relationship and what they could provide you in your connection and the way you guys interact that you feel like this fulfills the desires that you look for out of a relationship at the time or even currently. Why would you stray from that just because it's your first one?
The only reason I can think of this is that I am not the same me I was when I was 15, as I was 18, as I was 21, as I was now, for example, right? And each of those me's desired something different. And unless that person changes in the same way as the desire happened, then it's like really, like for example, if I didn't desire that and get it and then lose it, I wouldn't know that that's a good thing or that's a bad thing, right? So unless the person that I was with throughout that whole time also changed in the same way, which maybe that happens for other people, but for me, like just thinking back in my life, my very short life, it's like, oh, that there's no way someone could have been that at that age and this at this age and this at another age, all within that span, right? Because like I've changed so much. I've changed because of relationship. I've changed for other things too, and whenever you change, like your desires change, your feelings change, and all those things change too, right? So I agree. I just feel like for me, it felt impossible, but maybe I'm less of a romantic than others, right?
I can definitely see that because I'm also the same. Like throughout the relationships that I've had, I've definitely changed as a person. The things that I've desired has changed. And even like outside of relationships, just myself in general, I've changed. And if I got exactly what I want at whatever age that I was in a relationship for, then right now I wouldn't be satisfied with it. But I think maybe because I am a hopeless romantic, I like to think that for some people, if you find somebody that really clicks with you in some ways, then you can also always grow together. And there's going to be ebbs and flows in your relationship where you don't feel as close with that person or you'll feel closer with that person. But I think at the core of it, if you can find somebody that has values and a core characteristics that really connect with yours, then I think regardless of how you ebb and flow throughout the years, you'll generally still be each other's
Soulmate.
I wasn't gonna say something as definitive as that, but yeah, something along those lines.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. But I think even what you just said about like, going through something with someone, like you don't even learn that until you've gone through
That's
a
true.
relationship. It feels like, right? Because it feels like, while you go through a relationship, especially if it was like either a toxic one or both of you weren't mature enough, like near the end of the relationship, you're always thinking like a what if or someone better or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then until you get that, until you lose what you have and get that, then you realize like, oh fuck, like grass ain't greener on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like it's greener where you water it, not on the other side. But
Do you believe in that quote?
grass is greener on the other side, or not, or greener where you water it.
Yeah, greener where you water it.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I 100% believe grass is greener where you water it.
I think it's where you water and where you fertilize it too, right? You got to shit on it sometimes too. make sure it's gone through the right shit.
Touche.
Right. But yeah, that's what I feel too. I feel like you have to go through the loss in order for you to appreciate the gain.
That is true.
But yeah, that's what I think too. But that's what I call necessary pain, right? Which is going back to the core question. I think we should face necessary pain, and that's what makes that whole brotherhood. I think
most people too.
Stuff. Yeah, but the unnecessary, I don't think is like required. Like you don't have to. Like I'm actually kind of conflicted on this. So like a part of me thinks for people to reach their ultimate potential, they have to like hit rock bottom. Right.
You think everyone should?
No. Like a part of me thinks that.
Okay.
But then a part of me is like, man, I don't want to fucking quit my job. It pays me pretty good. I'm doing stuff. I'm learning. But that essentially is what you would need if I thought like that. Is that I would need to like lose everything in order for me to like rebuild myself, right? But I feel like that is unnecessary pain. Like you can still do it without like going all the way to the depths, right? Like going all the way to the fringes of hell to find yourself. Like you don't need that all the time. It's almost like the whole, it's not a saying, but like how like you take things in stride. Like it's not about not eating any junk food. It's about like being relatively healthy, like eating it in moderation or stuff like that. Like that is maybe necessary pain, but the unnecessary pain for some people might be just cutting stuff out completely, right?
Yeah.
Maybe that's not necessary, man. Like maybe you could take it in strides first and then slowly wean it off and stuff like that, right? That's kind of like my thought process on that too, right? So a part of me thinks like, oh fuck, do I have to like lose everything in terms of my career in order to really like rebuild and redefine myself in like a much more substantial and better way? It's almost like in some games you have to like devolve into evolve kind of thing. But then also a part of me is like, no, like you don't have to like necessarily make yourself go through that in order to become stronger and stuff or better or whatever it might be.
I agree. I think it's for I was trying to think of the word just now, a synonym of comparable, but I think it's whatever word that is, because if you hit rock bottom, then you're technically if you look at it as a graph, then you technically only have up to go technically, and the amount of okay, but the amount of growth that you have, the potential growth that you have is a lot more than the potential growth that you can have if you were, say your ceiling is level 10. If you're at level 8 right now, then your potential growth is only 2 points or 2 levels. But if you hit rock bottom, you go back down to 0, then your potential growth is 10 entire levels. And that growth is a lot more than your like going from level 0 to level 10 is a lot more than going from level 8 to level 10. And I think that's why a lot of people feel like you have to hit rock bottom in order to reach your potential growth, is because it's in comparison to going from level 8 to 10 in comparison from going from raising 2 levels to raising 10 levels, yeah, the growth is a lot more and a lot more substantial. But I think that it's not always necessary, like you were saying, to go down to rock bottom, because you still can reach level 10 from level 8. It's just that growth won't seem as large or as impactful because you're only going 2 levels versus going 10 levels.
Yeah, like what I've also learned a lot, I wouldn't say lately, I guess in the last like 3 or 4 years of my life, especially in my like first job in like construction stuff, is like I've learned to value the word pivot a lot. So like whenever you're in a situation that you might be stuck, you just have to pivot. You have to see what you have, you have to pivot into a different direction, and you just have to go from there, right? Yeah, like if you're in a shitty position, you're in a shitty position. Like suck it up and kind of move on. But I think it's important to know that hey, you still know stuff, you can pivot and you can move on instead of like going into the rock bottom. Is what like I used to think. Like I used to think like, you know, if I hit that bottom there, then there's nowhere but up, kind of thing, like that. That same mentality. But now I'm more of like, okay, what do you have right now? Like, okay, you're in a shit position right now. You just got fired. What do you have right now? Let's pivot. Use your relationship. Do this, do that, whatever you can. Let's move on, right? I think that's much more productive, and I wouldn't say more positive attitude, but like, I don't know, just better. Just like you can just do more, and
yeah, like picking a direction and making a mistake is better than inaction.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, making the mistake and then pivoting to something that may get you closer to your goal, right? Because like even with your analogy you said about like, you know, being level 8 and level 0, like at the end of the day the goal was level 10 anyway, so like
yeah, as long as you get there.
Yeah.
But I think along with what I was saying, you can also rewrite a lot of the things that got you to previously level 8 per se, that you may not think that needed to be rewritten until you were at rock bottom.
Yeah.
And then after you've rewritten it, it probably resonates with you more than you thought your previous principles did.
Because you're not truly at rock bottom. Like you learn shit. You learn shit.
You learn a lot of shit,
right? And like those shit is like an aid to get you back to that same level, right? So that is important. But anyways, going back to the fundamental question: why do some people complain more than others despite facing less pain? Yeah, it's just the whole, you know,
it's hard for them.
Yeah, it's the worst thing that happens to you. Is the worst thing that's happened to you. And I feel like you just have to be compassionate. But I feel like more so lately, I've been more empathetic on those things. I also know that like some things I can't control. Like I'm more aware of those things. So I just like just fuck it, whatever. Like
I think. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I think it's also not a competition. So even if somebody is facing less pain, it's still pain. So it's still worthy of attention or to be addressed or something to take note of.
I mean, also, if you don't think it's worthy of address, then just don't say anything. Like, you don't have to be a dick about it. You just ignore, right? You know
somebody comes up to you, I sprained my ankle. You just walk away.
Yeah, I was like, oh shit, ice is over there. I'm gonna go now. Yeah, but like, I think that's honestly the thing. Like, if someone is like silver spoon and babied, like fuck it. It's not your unless for some reason they're like unless you have for some motivation to help them that badly, like just let them deal with it.
It's not your prerogative to make them more of a
like you don't have to ridicule them or anything like that. You can leave, like, or just it's you. I guess I'm in the mentality is like you can't save everyone or you shouldn't save everyone. Some people have to save themselves, kind of thing. I don't have that hero complex. I'm just like, hey, like. Fuck, if I'm Batman, like, dude, you have to unrob yourself.
I have a hero complex, guys. If anyone comes to me with any problems, I naturally make it my own resolve to fix your problems.
Yeah, it's tough for Viv.
It's bad.
I mean, the other thing I was going to talk about related to pain is that sometimes I have this like really weird mentality when I'm like doing something very difficult, especially if it's physically difficult. The first thing I think about is like, fuck, those Navy SEALs never complain. I gotta keep going.
What the fuck?
I don't know. That's the first thing I think of. I was like, man, if people can become Navy SEAls,
one day,
I can't complain about this.
If you ever meet a Navy SEAL and he starts bitching about something, I think your entire
whole mentality would just like break down. I was just like, no.
Like, Navy SEALs all bitch, but what about Bob the other day, huh? Okay, maybe I can bitch today.
Like literally a lot of times when I go through something physically demanding, I'm like, no man, these guys went through this shit like this. I can do this plank for another minute.
I kind of tell myself the same thing, like, but I'm more like, this is physical. You're really gonna let something physical take you down?
Yeah, that's true. Cool. Let's talk about pain. What's the last one you want to do? You want to do the top one or bottom one?
Let's do the bottom one.
Okay, so is it possible to lie without saying a word? Is the question. So I'll just say it again. Is it possible to lie without saying a word? I mean, I think when we talked about this question before, I made a very obvious answer, which is not like a. I don't think that was a true intention of the question. My answer was like, yeah, you just have to ask a question where you say like, if you don't say anything, it means no.
Yeah.
Then yeah, it's very possible to lie without saying a word, right? It's just like, are you gay? If you don't say anything, it's no, right?
Yeah.
And then, I mean, if you are and you don't say anything, then
if you're like
lying, right?
for questions like that, it's like, oh, are you gay? And if you're like, I'm not gonna tell you. Okay.
Yeah, no, actually, you brought up that example. I guess you can kind of elaborate on that a bit more.
It's like I brought up an example that happened with a friend that I cannot repeat on this podcast.
Something
but
similar.
It's kind of like if you ask somebody, let me try to think of this.
Something very like obvious. The answer should be no.
Yeah. If you don't answer it, then it's obviously the other answer. Essentially, it's like, oh, hey, what mark did you get on that test? Did you pass? And the person says, I'm not going to tell you. Then it's pretty obvious you didn't get a good fucking mark.
Yeah, it's like 95% of people would have said the answer A, and then you don't say that, then it's obviously not the answer A, so it must be answer B. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think there's also lying by omission. So it's possible to lie without saying a word by lying by omission, which is like if somebody lost something. Like if I had a cookie jar and I asked a room full of 5 people who ate the last cookie in the cookie jar, do you guys know who it is? And no one said a word, then technically somebody's lying by omission if you knew who had done it and you didn't say anything. You're technically not saying a word, but you're technically still lying by not saying anything because you're giving the impression that you don't know who did it. But if it was like 5 people in a room, all of you knew that Bob was the one that ate the cookie and none of you said anything, then you're technically all fucking lying. Even if no one has said a single word.
That's a tough situation because then you just realize your friends don't like you.
Oh shit. I guess we got a bigger problem on our hands.
Fuck this cookie. Yeah, I mean, that's very interesting because I think lying without saying a word, the examples you gave are very clear of lying without saying a word. I also think like having specific body language or facial features or stuff like that could potentially be like lying without saying a word too.
I agree.
And I think the fundamental of this question is a little bit different though, because the fundamental of this question is almost more of a legal question.
Oh,
like, could you be convicted of something without saying anything? Which is probably yes, right? If they found enough evidence and all this stuff, yada yada yada, right? But if it's not substantial evidence and it's like mostly based off like witness account and all that shit, is it possible to lie without saying a word? Now, guys, just caveat here, we're not fucking lawyers, so we don't know the actual rules about this stuff, but we've watched enough dramas to pretend we do.
I'm guessing if you testify to say the truth, only the truth, and whatever.
And nothing but the truth, but you don't say anything.
That is true. But if somebody asked you, if you were put up on the stand and a lawyer were to ask you what you know about a certain case and you just decided to keep quiet, then perhaps they could reprimand you for that later on for not giving the necessary information that the case required. Or it's kind of like, it's like the same thing. If you have evidence that would help support your case or would go against your case, whatever that word is, and you decided to omit that evidence, then I'm sure if they did a deeper dive into the case and found out that you were omitting crucial evidence, you would still get reprimanded for it.
Okay, so here's the interesting part. So there's 2 questions I have for this. One of them is the human psychology part of it, right? So one thing is obviously, it's unethical to withhold that information, right? But is it practical though? Because like in Europe, Okay, I'm just exampling Europe. In Europe, it is, or in certain countries in Europe, it is the government's job to bring you to prison. And if you escape prison, it is only humanly normal. So like you can't punish someone for doing something that's humanly normal.
Yes.
So in this exact same situation, if you have evidence against your case, should you be punished if it was found that that evidence is against your case and you knew about it? Now, one, people will say yes because that's unethical, which is fine, fair. You're held to a different ethical standard if you're a lawyer, police, or whatever like that. But then now, if you go to the psychology side, is it actually humanly wrong? Because if you're talking about motives and a person's motive, it's actually humanly normal to withhold that information.
That is true.
Right. So yes, ethically with their job and life and everything, yes, they should go to jail for billions of years, whatever it may be. But in the psychology side, like they did, like we're pretty much forcing people to not act as humans anymore, because that wouldn't be the human thing to do.
Yes,
because
humans want to escape jail.
Yes, the human motive is to get more money and not go to prison and stuff like that. Now, this might be bad because it's tailored towards like a sin, which is greed, right? That's greed. Essentially, if you withhold evidence and it's with your case and stuff like that, it's essentially greed, right? Because that's the only thing you can really gain for that, right? So I guess now that my wheels are kind of spinning and everything's going in my head, I wonder how much religion has to play with our legal system then.
Oh, interesting.
Because greed is unethical, yada yada, and all these other laws may only be passed because of a religious context to it, right? Like for example, back in the day, gay sex was illegal, right? Probably because of a religious reason, not really because of a justice reason, right?
Yes, for sure.
So I'm actually curious on how, like, it's probably very deep, but like I wonder how many laws could become obsolete if you start thinking like that, right?
I would definitely say the backbone of a lot of the structures and foundations that at least the United States governs themselves on is Christian or Catholic based.
Yeah.
And I would even say in other parts of Asia or even other parts of Asia or India and places like that, a lot of their government is based off of religion and influenced by religion still.
Because if you think back to it, whatever they're doing in Europe right now, where it's like if you escape from prison, you shouldn't get further punished. In the States, you would get further punished because in a religion context, you have sinned and you have to pay for your sins.
Yes.
Right? But in the European side, they're like, no, this is not humanly normal. Right? So yeah, I don't know. That's kind of like not exactly this question, is it possible to lie without saying a word? But in a legal context, that's very interesting.
I think in the States, it's also not necessarily purely based off of religion that if you escape from jail, you should still be punished for it. I think it's just the States is also a little bit brutal in that sense. I mean, or they don't think about, they're not as out of the box with the way that they govern themselves and the way that they think in comparison to Europe on a lot of fronts, in my opinion.
But it's not all of Europe. In fact, probably the minority of people use that mentality of if you escape from prison, it's up to the government to catch you and you shouldn't be further punished, right? It's probably like only like the Norwegian area or the Nordic area of Europe, probably only, right? Like most of the other world probably still follows if you run away from prison, you're further punished, right?
Yeah, probably.
But I don't know. Like I always thought that type of law and that type of stuff is very interesting. Like it makes sense when you think about it. Logically, but like I wouldn't want the murder of my family member to escape and not get reprimanded for it. But at the same time, they're already getting reprimanded for being in prison anyway. So I don't know. Actually, like a part of me also thinks like it serves me nothing that if someone gets punished for it. But I guess it helps others. Is the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, I am also on the fence on that because I think it depends on what you did in order to get into jail. Because I think as a normal human being and a normal citizen, it's pretty easy to not go to jail, guys.
Oh, that's true.
And if you do something that gets you into jail, then depending on what it was, then maybe you should just stay in there. Ooh. I get that a lot of people talk about being whatever the word is, to be able to go back into society. Like people learn their lessons, and I truly believe people learn their lessons. You can change, but to a degree and to an extent. Like if you killed someone, then maybe don't go back into society, because I think that is something that mentally you're a little bit at fault for, or something that you probably can't change. Like by nature, you have something that's fundamentally wrong with you to an extent. If you killed someone with intent, like if you happen to make a mistake, run a red light, accidentally kill someone, maybe you could go to.
I don't think you go to prison for that.
Maybe if you're drunk driving.
Oh yeah, but yeah,
like things like that. Yeah, you should be able to right your wrongs, learn from your mistakes, go through whatever therapy, whatever system that'll help you grow and change and be able to integrate back into society. But if you did something like you're a serial killer, or you're a pedophile, you're a rapist or something like that, then maybe just don't. And if they escaped, then I wouldn't be the person that would push for saying that, oh, it's natural for humans to escape, don't punish this person further. I'd be like, what the fuck? You should know that you did some really bad things and that you should be punished for the bad things that you did. And wanting to naturally escape is not a right that you should be allowed to have, in my opinion.
Isn't the original punishment already enough? Like if you're a serial killer,
I don't think
you're already getting life sentence. You're not gonna get more life of a sentence.
I personally don't think that people who go to jail get punished the way that they should get punished for the things that they've done. Like imagine if you were a serial killer, or you tortured a bunch of people, or you did really bad things to other people, and you went to jail, and your jail life is you get fed decent food. You still get to like walk around your jail. You still get sunlight. You still get a workout. You still get access to books and media and all that stuff. And you still get your basic human needs met and paid for by the government. How is that punishment for hurting all those people? Like, yes, you don't get the freedom of having your own house or being able to do whatever the fuck you want whenever you want because you're in freaking jail. But I don't think that being in jail is comparable to some of the crimes that some people have done. Like, you actually should be tortured yourself, in my opinion.
Oh, damn. That's actually very intense.
Or people who get life sentenced, or if they do a really bad crime and in the process of getting caught, they happen to get killed by the police. I think that's very unfair.
You're like, you should resuscitate them just so they can suffer.
Yeah, actually, I do think that. I think that if somebody was running away from the cops because they happen to be a serial killer and the cops are like, it's okay, you can shoot to kill, just make sure that this guy is taken down. I think that's the worst thing to do. You should shoot their Achilles tendons. You should shoot every non-vital organ and drag them by their body and make sure that they suffer every single goddamn day that they're alive.
God damn, you're intense, Viv, on this. I mean, I think I differ a lot on that. I
personally think that way.
Yeah, I think I don't know.
Death is a very easy way out for people who do really bad things.
Yeah, maybe, but I mean, so I don't know anyone in jail.
Me neither, guys.
So like, maybe people can get reformed. I actually have no idea. Like, maybe people can become better.
Do you
people
deserve to be reformed, though? I think after a while, there's a line that,
like, you get institutionalized, so you get really fucked up. I understand that, but I don't think just because one group of people has suffered that we should continue the suffer. Like, it sounds very peace-like, but I actually don't think that it like serves anyone. Like, no matter how much that person suffers, like, so say for example, this is a very shitty hypothetical, but so for example, one of your family member got killed by a serial killer, and then that serial killer is now in jail. I don't think any amount of suffering that serial killer gets will make you feel any better. In fact, I think like zero, like literally zero amount of suffering will help. But
I agree.
So then, like, what's the point? Like, we're just further suffering for the sake of suffering. Like, I don't know. It feels kind of useless. Like, I do agree. Maybe like dying is too easy for them to go out, and maybe they're too fucked up to actually have a conscience to feel shitty about it. But I would personally just like put them to like work and stuff and do other things than just try to further suffer them. But I don't know, that's I guess my mentality on that. Like I think we are so spoiled that we don't understand what a lack of freedom feels like. Like, maybe a lack of freedom is the worst pain someone can actually feel.
Maybe boredom, I think.
Yeah, like yeah, that too. But maybe like we're saying the worst thing that's happened to you is the worst thing that's happened to you, and maybe some people have experienced both the worst pain that's happened to me and having their freedom taken away. And their freedom taken away is worse. Like, they rather go through the worst pain than the freedom being taken away. So maybe that itself, like, is already torture enough. I don't believe in physically torturing people. Like I know sometimes when you watch a movie and the bad guy is just so good at being bad, and you're just like, oh man, I just wish the good guy just breaks every bone in his body and stuff like that, right? Yeah, but like in reality, like in a real person, I don't think anyone actually really wish that on other people. If they do, you're kind of crazy. But it just feels kind of like weird, you know what I mean? Like you wish that in a very fictitious way, right? But everything comes with nuances and stuff like that. Like no one is. And maybe I'm wrong, guys, but I feel like no one is fundamentally that bad where it's like reflected in a movie way. You know what I mean? Like there is still like they had some motives and, maybe they're just, trying to steal bread for their family or some bullshit like that. But I don't know. Like I feel like everyone, I don't know. Maybe I see too much good in some people then, but I just don't see a point in torturing and shit like that.
So I also believe that it's not actually, it doesn't do anyone any good at all. It's not progressive, it's not positive or anything to ever torture anyone. It's not going to make the people that have been hurt or the family that was hurt by whoever bad guy's actions, it's not going to make them feel any better. Like it may feel good, like revenge never actually feels good for anyone. It's not a good thing, doesn't benefit anyone in any way. And for those people that were hurt by said bad guy's actions, I feel like it actually detriments their healing process to know that the other person, the bad guy, was being tortured, because you're healing in the wrong way or you're putting positives on things that shouldn't be positive in that way.
You're creating a serial killer in that case.
Yeah, like if you feel better knowing that the person who hurt whoever meant a lot to you is hurting, then your own process in healing isn't actually healing in the right way, in my opinion. It's like, if we're to dumb this down into a more relatable sense, it's like if you break up with someone, why would you wish for that person to have a bad life afterwards? Like it doesn't actually benefit you in any way. It doesn't benefit you in any way, and it doesn't help your healing process in any way. If anything, it'll just make you become like a really bitter person. And how is that good for you at all? But I think that if we're talking about on an extremist level, when it comes to crimes and things, there's a line that after you cross, I think that you don't really deserve the freedoms to, I guess, right your wrongs, because there's a line that after a while there's not much that you can do to be better in that case. And yeah, it would be really nice if you could put those people to work and make them do like the grunt work so that other people don't have to do those high laborious intensive jobs that kind of go against human rights. Yeah, if you could put all the bad people on an island and all they do is like bike so the rest of the world can get like more energy, that'd be pretty sick. That'd be probably like a really good way to...
It's a Black Mirror episode.
Yeah, use their resources by making them really tired every single day, but then the work that they're doing is also useful for everyone else instead of just, I don't know, putting them through a torture chamber. Then it's just useless,
Yeah, like not necessarily torture them, but like do it in a way that benefits like other people.
Yeah, I guess that would be the best. It's still torturous, but it's still also torturous with a means of a good outcome coming out, which is more energy.
Like make them fry eggs with like really hot oil and splash it.
And you can't back off at all.
Oh fuck!
And there's a tiny bit of water in the pan every single time.
Yeah.
And I truly believe that people are innately good, but it just depends on how you were nurtured as you were growing up. That will really like shape who you are as a person. But I also know that there are genes that can be found in people that make you more highly likely become a sociopath or a serial killer and things like that. Because by nature, there are people that just have zero empathy, or people that don't care for human life, and people who enjoy inflicting pain onto others by nature. But I think that as you're growing up, it's really dependent on how you were nurtured on whether those traits come out or not. And that comes with, like, if you think about Hitler, I think that even by nature, Hitler was a good person, but he probably had those genes in him that made him feel that way towards certain people. And because he was nurtured in a bad way, it allowed those traits to manifest and allowed him to become like a really bad guy.
We're not Nazi sympathizers, by the way.
Yeah, I'm just saying. But if you gave, I think that everyone that's a bad person in life, if you gave them enough love and care and attention and support, then most people won't be as bad as you see out there, you know?
Yeah. Like, you just need some ingenious, like, ways. Like giving a pedophile a picture of themselves as a kid.
What the fuck?
It's a victimless crime, right?
That's true. I guess so.
No, yeah.
That's why you gotta be nice to everyone, guys. And that's why I think that, like, being a mom is a very, very important role, because you are shaping a whole nother human being in a way, or you're influencing the nurture and the nurture of another human being. And if you teach that human being that it's okay to be mean to people or hurt people or do things like that, then they're gonna do that, you know?
Yeah. It's like that Netflix show, the movie, The Mother, the robots and shit.
Mother?
You know, the one with the robots, and then they...
Oh, yeah.
They, like, force that girl to be, like, a mother to the little babies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But that was because the AI knew how fundamental it was for humans to have a mother of character and stuff.
Mm-hmm. And eventually she runs away.
And then they mindfuck her back, and then she's back.
And then she realized that everything's controlled by AI and computers, and she's just fucked.
Yeah, it's great. It's a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, yeah, I think I mean, it's kind of cool. I think this is the first time I've kind of heard you have some very, like, strong, compulsive, like, emotions towards things like that.
It's very easy to be nice to people, guys. If you go to that extremist level of being able to, like, murder a whole bunch of people or hurt somebody or, like, torture someone like that, then I think that you've crossed a human threshold that makes you almost not human anymore.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be great. We could all send them to an island and fight to the death or some shit, but...
Jesus Christ.
I don't know. That'd be kind of... I don't know. I actually don't know what the solution is, because, like, there may be unredeemable people.
I think there are definitely unredeemable people.
And what do you do with that? Like, you who are you to be the executioner, right?
I guess not executioner, but if you can put them all on an island and make them work and make, like, more energy for people, that would be great, because I think energy is one of our biggest problems on Earth, right?
Yeah.
In terms of, like, resources, not world hunger and things like that.
Yeah. I don't know, like, they're...
Or maybe put them on a farm and help them keep growing crops. They're gonna grow drugs, though.
No, I think
but
just,
like, if you put them on a farm and make them, like, harvest rice. I heard it takes a lot of effort to harvest rice, but I'm sure they have machines for that now.
Yeah, I can't even
saffron.
I can't even
saffron will go down.
Think of what they would possibly do.
Repetitive jobs.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, maybe send them to Mars, have an experiment. That'd be kind of...
Do you want... I mean, maybe that makes it a lot less cool, but I guess it's a lot more ethical to put, like, to have tester humans on Mars. But wouldn't you want, like, some Neil Armstrong, first super cool person on Earth, instead of being like, the first person we sent to Mars was this guy that killed half of...
the optics would be bad, but let's be real. That first guy on Mars...
The lore would be bad.
Yeah, that first guy on Mars ain't coming back. I'm sorry to say. You ain't coming back, bro. If you go to Mars, you're dying in Mars.
It's gonna become Mega Mind and then come back and fight all the humans.
Yeah, maybe, but I just have a feeling, if you make your... In this day and age, if you make your way to Mars...
That's how you create Orochimaru.
You ain't coming back, bro. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. True. It's a one-way ticket.
That's true.
Like, there's no way they come back. Like, realistically, there's no way.
If you could successfully get them there and tell them to basically test terraform everything, then yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah.
Then it would be less risk.
Yeah,
valuable human life.
You'd send them test terraform. You have a nuke ready just in case shit gets fucked up, and then you just press the reset button, and then yeah. But no,
I think it's almost a little unfair if you sent them on a rocket that you think, I'm not exactly sure if this rocket is reusable. It might blow up halfway. It might blow up before it exits the Earth's atmosphere, then I think that's a little unfair. Like, it's ethical because you're not necessarily
It's still a
quote
death
unquote
sentence.
wasting human life, but because it's a death sentence, then they kind of get out an easy get out of jail card, in my opinion.
Yeah,
But
maybe.
then the flip side would be that if you put a human being that you value their life more, then that's not worth it, right? Then it's better to put the bad guy on there.
Yeah, because there's no, like, let's be real, guys. Let's all be honest. You're not coming back if you're on Mars. Like, you cannot escape Mars' gravity pull without a huge amount of fuel,
Mhm.
which there is no processed version of it on Mars.
He sent all the bad guys to Mars. They become one of the smartest engineers in human
fuck.
history.
God damn.
And suddenly we need them.
I mean, that's kind of cool because it is kind of
That'd
true.
be a cool movie.
Yeah, because like sometimes, actually, maybe a lot of times, but the most desperate people may come up with the most ingenious things of like solving problems, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, so that'd be kind of cool, actually.
That'd be a really sick movie, actually. And then it's like, okay, if they created all this really high-tech technology on Mars that we actually need and that no one has ever created before,
Yeah.
now what do? Have they helped themselves enough that they can come back to Earth?
No.
Or are we the suckers now that we're like, hey, can we know how you did
No.
that?
We send them to Uranus.
Here's your next project, guys. Up the asshole.
Let's try something a little bit harder here. All right, cool. Anyways, we kind of went off topic over is it possible to lie without saying a word? But
I think yes.
Yeah,
Hands down, yes.
I think it was meant to be more of a legal question, but I think in general it's always gonna be a yes, right? There's always ways you can devise questions and shit. So
yeah, body language definitely a lot. Watching people's eye movements.
Yeah,
I heard that if you're saying something and you look, I don't remember which direction it was, but statistically, if somebody's lying to you, they will glance to their left or their right while they're talking. I don't remember which direction it was, but it's a statistic and it's something that people who look for what are those people that
lie detectors?
Yeah, lie detectors and those people that shine the light on your face and interrogate you. They look for those things, like which way you're looking when you say something.
Here's a hack for that, guys. If you want to get through it, just look at their boobs the whole time. Can't look left, can't look right. You're already staring at one thing.
Your eyes are already too busy, you know?
Yeah.
So one thing, two things.
Yeah, just mentally undress them while you talk and then you're good.
Exactly.
No need to lie there. All right, cool. Thanks for tuning in on this one. Hopefully we had some cool conversation for you guys.
Yeah, thanks guys.
We actually quite enjoy these random table topics question. It's really just thought-provoking questions, really.
That's true. I think that's the first time I've ever said something that had such a hard stance on.
Yeah. I mean, it's good. Like I think it's good you have that. It makes you more of a character.
Sick.
If that makes sense. Like you're not just a blend of a bunch of politically correct shit, which is what a lot of people is. You actually have hard stance on certain things and soft stance on certain things and nuances on certain things. It makes you actually someone, right? Someone with a brain, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Like you're actually thinking for yourself and stuff. All right, cool. So hope you guys enjoy this. We'll have some more fillers for you guys, so have fun with them.
Yeah, enjoy them.
Yeah. So
we'll get back to the main plot of the show later.
Yep. We'll go through a couple arcs, kill off some characters, get some new characters, shit like that, you know?
Yeah.
Usual anime stuff. Usual
plot twists.
Yeah, usual JV stuff. We'll have some tentacles and stuff like that, so all good. Anyways, thank you guys and tune in for next time.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye-bye.